Welcome to the Professional Lovers Channel. I'm Al,
I'm Patty,
and we're the Professional Lovers.
married for 27 years, have had the privilege of being able to facilitate couples' relationships. So if you are interested in building the best relationship possible, you're in the right place. We talk about marital issues and relationship issues through the lens of different programs, usually through the lens of Married at First Sight, which is on hiatus right now. New season starting in January. So we've been absent from our channel for a week or two.
And we've tried a couple of other options.
Yes, and we're going to share with you our thoughts when we watched one of those options, particularly one of our subscribers, thank you, Lady Perkins, suggested that we put a ring on it from the OWN channel. And so that's what we did. We watched one episode from season 1. I think they're in season 2 right now, but we watched season 1. And it was very interesting, but we weren't sure if it lent itself to really talking about issues per se, more than the people. And then I had some other reservations, but you found something interesting about the guys on the show. If you don't know the premise of the show, it's couples who are in long-term relationships who have not gotten married. I think one couple had been getting together for like 9 years, and another one
for, I think, it's close to 6, and then another one for 2.
But they had broken up and then gotten back together, right. So they'd been, in a relationship. And out of the 3, I remember one couple, he had asked her to marry him a couple of times, but he had vacillated, I don't know, both times, but he had asked, but he wasn't sure. And she was nervous because he wasn't sure. And, and then the next time he asked, she said no, because she wasn't ready. But together 9 years. And I have to say, I don't understand that. And that was one of my issues, is that I don't understand a woman staying in a relationship unless it's doing something for her.
Yeah, unless that's a preference.
Yeah, and being upset that you're not getting asked to be married, but you're staying there. So I had a little hard time wrapping my head around that. But that particular couple and the couple who had been together, 2 to 4 years or something like that, he'd never asked and wasn't interested in asking. Yeah. And that was working his significant other's nerves.
Working my nerves.
Now, the doctor that was working with them, the very first activity, which again, I didn't really agree with or really understand, was to have each of them go on a date with somebody else that she set them up with. Yeah. And the women were first. They were going to go on dates, and the one who was in the 9-year relationship was really happy and stoked about it.
He acted like he didn't care.
Well, no, that was the one who was in the 4-year, the youngest couple.
Well, the youngest girl.
Yeah, the youngest girl. His guy, her guy was like, yep, whatever, okay.
Whatever.
Yeah, because the other one, the 9-year one, he was not happy with that at all.
No, I mean he wasn't about it. But again, he was one of the ones that had asked on 1 or 2 occasions for her to marry him.
Who had proposed a couple times.
Yeah.
So there, you were kind of triggered by some of what you saw the guys display.
Yeah, by certain reactions of the guys, especially when it came down to the dating aspect. Everybody had issues about that, except for one individual who acted so nonchalant about it. It made me wonder if he thought he was really in a relationship. And it made me think that he could take her or leave her. I don't.
Well, but when she said that, when she said something like that, and I believe his remark was along the lines of, well, I know what I bring to the relationship, and she ain't gonna find that anywhere else. So this is his way of acting secure
in his own mind,
in what he was giving her in the relationship.
And to me, all that is the stereotypical ego of and I hesitate to say it, but the stereotypical perceived black male. And it's not that we're all like that, because we're not. But for a man to believe that he's the only one that can satisfy a particular woman, he has lost his mind.
That's pretty strong.
Well, okay, because if you think that you're the only one who can satisfy that particular woman, you're saying that God made you specifically for her, and that there's no other man on this earth that can satisfy her needs and be a positive partner for her for the duration of a true relationship.
Well, why wouldn't you see that as just self-confidence? I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah. And I'm wondering where that was coming from, because that made absolutely no sense to me.
Well, but that's how that particular guy was coming across. I'm so confident in what I give her that there's nobody else who's going to match what I give her.
Yeah, well,
Is that self-confidence, or is that a bravado that is a shell over low self-esteem?
I'd probably lean more toward the latter, for the simple fact that, you have to feel confident within yourself, and I understand that, but you're putting yourself on a pedestal or on a plateau that you feel like you can't be hurt in a situation, because basically what you're saying is that you're not allowing yourself to be vulnerable with your significant other, and that's the way I'm looking at it. Mm-hmm. That's just me. Now, I'm not a big ego person.
Actually, no. One of the things that attracted me to Al is the fact that I called it he being egoless. The stereotypical black man who has the ego that needs to be stroked, or, is constantly needing affirmation through you proving to me how much you want me or need me, or having to play games, so to speak, to get that constant affirmation.
And the operative word in there is constant. It's not to say that a person doesn't need stroking.
Everybody needs affirmation.
Yeah, everybody does. But you don't need to feed my ego or show me that you care for me.
Well, and so because you did not fit that stereotype, it was a huge attraction for me personally, because I knew that my personality would not lend itself to
she's not that kind of woman
being in a relationship with an insecure man.
Yeah. And I mean, an insecure man is not very appealing to any strong woman. Plain and simple.
And but the other side of that is, why do so many black men, and that's what we're talking about, not that black men are the only ones who,
no, by no means,
express a need for constant affirmation or stroking, or see even ego is kind of a control thing, a power thing. So we're not suggesting that it's only black men, but definitely that's only who I have dealt with.
Yeah.
So, but it is, and stereotypes come from reality. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's another thing. True. Stereotypes come from reality. So it becomes a stereotype because you put everybody in the same category, and that's what makes it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but let's just be honest that you don't get a stereotype without that being true.
True.
To some extent.
There's facts behind that.
Right. So knowing that in the history of Black men, African American slavery, and all of that,
having certain value taken away from them.
Right. Value of just the person, you as a human being.
Human being, yes, true.
And all of the things that Black men have to face out in society.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can understand why a Black man would need a certain amount of stroking. Not to say that it's okay, but I understand the need for a certain amount of stroking when you have very little power outside of yourself and your relationship or your home. When you're going out to work, or you're dealing with, the white privilege that's all around you, when you have been devalued outside of your own environment, then I can understand why you would feel like you need to have some validation and some control
of something.
Right.
But and I understand all of that, and that there's truth to that. But some other person is not ultimately what you need to control. And that's not why we're here to relate to one another. A woman is not in existence for me to control her. The purpose of her existence is for us to have a relationship. And now there's ways and there's levels of give and take on both sides. Mm-hmm. But your existence is not for me to control it. And if a man feels that he has to control his woman, he's lacking something. That's me. And the reason why I feel that way is because the woman that you choose to be with should complement you.
Right.
Okay? And it's nothing to say that they're going to make you whole, because you are whole within yourself.
Or should be.
And should be. If you feel otherwise, that is something within you that has to be adjusted to find that confidence, to find that belief in yourself and what it is that you're capable of doing and how you're capable of relating to someone to the point where they want to be with you. They just want to be with you. Not because you're telling them that they can't go anywhere else. And as far as I'm concerned, if that's the type of significant other that you have, where you control them and make them feel that they're not worth going anywhere else, to me that shows that they're a little weak. But then why would you want somebody so weak that you can control them? They are a human being just like you. How do you control another human being? I just don't understand the concept. I'm sorry. I just don't.
Well, again, it's usually about power. And relationships struggle with power. And women don't think that we're not going to, Black women don't think that we're not going to address the stereotype of the angry Black woman and the independent Black woman who don't need nobody. That'll be next week. But I mean, and I know it's hard for you to understand because you don't think that way.
I don't. So.
And so, but the issue is usually power, and there's always power struggles in a relationship, even though they take different forms. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have some power struggles, even though they take a different form. And you're like, what?
Yeah, I'm learning something today too.
Well, again, whenever one of the one person in the couple either sees their way as the right way
or the better
or
way.
the better way, and you offer that even when it's not requested, or again,
trying to be helpful.
When when we, for instance, and the differences in our personality, that we've addressed it before, is that when it comes to like DIY projects at home, you're a winger. He wings it, and I'm the person who has to read about it. If I'm not an expert in tiling the floor, then I'm gonna get some books and I'm gonna read about the right way to tile a floor. Whereas you are kind of like, let's just get started. We'll figure it out, kind of a thing.
And this is kind of awkward for us to say this in a few minutes, because it's not like I'm not handy.
No. He's very handy.
Yeah.
He is gifted at being a great handyman guy around the house. And the fact that he's willing to try pretty much anything is also great. Except when when I put a house in disarray and it ends up being that way until the project is finished. But anyway, so you can understand how we would bump heads in that kind of situation. And although we would not necessarily term it as a power struggle, it sort of still is, because you have your way of looking at it, I have my way of looking at it, and until we can come to some consensus, then we're kind of, butting heads a little bit.
Well, I mean, again, you have, and that to me is the difference between confidence and control.
Okay. Yeah, I like that, because where we're going with this, as our time is running out, so you grew up in a stereotypical family,
single parent home, raised by my mother.
Raised by his mom and support system, still have relationship with your father.
Yeah, but not under the same roof.
Right. So, I mean, what are some steps to begin the resolution process of a man who has control or power issues, or needs the constant affirmation in order to feel valued?
Basically, it is a mindset, but one has to realize or accept the fact that they can be challenged. One individual does not have every answer that exists, and nobody does. So just because you may have an idea, and it may be a solid idea, don't think that there's not a better idea somewhere. So why not ask or allow your significant other their opinion? Because they may bring a different perspective that can give you another train of thought to the solution that you're looking for that you may not have thought about. Mm-hmm. And I look at that basically as a man in a relationship. What if your wife, fiance,
girlfriend
has an idea that can change the existence of the both of you? Are you willing to accept her idea for the both of you? And I ask that when you're just in a holding pattern and you're just floating through life and dealing with, your everyday job or whatever. Not to say that you couldn't do better, but you're not necessarily aspiring at this particular moment to do better. But she has an idea to change your situation. And it will kind of force you to think about, what you're willing to do. Case in point, my wife wanted to relocate to give back to her alma mater. Now, we were comfortable living in another location, making good money, fine, no problem. She gets the idea, I want to go live where we are right now, Huntsville, Alabama. I was born in the Bronx. Talk about culture shock. Things are different. But you can live anywhere. You can be who you are or who you want to be anywhere. It was her idea. Should I have prevented her from seeing her dream, her thought, her goal, her idea vanish just because I'm good where I'm at? I mean, there wasn't any rainbow that we were looking at when we were living elsewhere. And again, it's not to say that anything was wrong where we were. But she had a dream. She had a thought. She had a desire. Am I, just because it's not my idea, one to prevent her from seeing her idea come to fruition? Support. Support.
So as you said, it takes a mindset. And if a person if that hasn't been cultivated in a male, a black male, then that's something that you have to begin to actively seek resolution for.
Mm-hmm.
To get to a place where within yourself, you understand your value and don't have a need to have that fed on a constant basis by other people, because you understand your own value.
Yeah. And if you feel that you are not at a level that you want to be at, or you don't feel that you're as confident as you should be about yourself, then improve yourself to the point where your confidence level is achieved by what you have achieved. And again, it's not to impose it on somebody, but to understand your worth and your own value.
And then as we end, I'm going to end with a couple of principles from the book, Becoming a Professional Lover. One tip says, treat marriage like a partnership. Although there is a hierarchy, and we can talk about that later, it's still a partnership. One person is not dominating the other and making all of the decisions and, and controlling how the relationship runs.
Mm-hmm.
The other tip says, remember, you are not the family. If you have children as well, if you have a family of 3, it's a family of 3, not 1.
And the other 2.
And then, the subordinates. If you have a family of 5, it's not 1 and 4 subordinates. It's a unit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you have to begin to look at it. So what's a good question? We have started our Facebook group called Professional Lovers. So we want you to request to join.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we're going to post a question to get a discussion started about what we've just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
What should that question be? What role, if any, should control play in a relationship?
Yeah.
What role, if any, should control play in a relationship? Let us see your answer.
Please.
You can answer at the bottom of this video, but in order to start a good discussion in the Facebook group to get that going, do it there.
Yeah.
And whatever questions you have as a result of what we've talked about this evening, make sure that you leave those too, so we can really get a good discussion going.
Yeah, let's dialogue.
Well, thanks for watching, and we look forward to getting the Facebook group going very well. It is for singles and couples. It's about relationships, helping all of us build solid relationships so that you can have the best relationship possible. And with that, we will see you next week. Stay safe. Peace.
Enjoy.